Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we have our new crankshaft, specially made by Daryl Taylor from Taylor Tuning, and I must admit it does look the business. I can't tell you how smooth that is. The big end bearing, superb, really nice. What I've got to do now is put the track on and start building up. What I've done is I've got the crankshaft, the crankcases ready. They're all cleaned out. I've cleaned all the faces off. I've fitted the bearing in the, it is down here. Rebuilt all the mag side bearing, oil seals, new oil seal here. I'm still using the Koyo bearing there because it's only got literally what 200-300 miles on it, so it just seems a waste to bin that. So what I'm going to do now is I'll just put this on the ring, which I've got somewhere here. It's in here, I think. Oh, it's on here, sorry. Koyo one. That goes on there. Basically warm that up. Put some grease, etc. oil on here. And I've got the tool to just knock it on. That tool there from sit. What I tend to do is just use the tool, don't hammer it. What I suggest you do is just support these webs when you're doing that. You can put some metal in a vise, basically like a right angle metal, just to take the weight, because you're hitting the crankshaft in the middle, and obviously the pin's one set, and what you could do is push the webs in and take the crank out of true. But what I'm going to do is, because it's just a 2-minute job, I'll warm up the bearing, slide it on, and it won't take 2 minutes, and I'll cut back in again. Right, I've put the crankshaft in and it's turning nice and free. Of course, there you go, turning nice and free. We need the dish on now and all the drive sprockets and clutch. If you remember, I didn't take out the gearbox, so I'll just find out the oil throw washer and give that a clean. I left everything in soaking in oil for obvious reason. I don't want no rust, because it has been 2 weeks tomorrow that I took this engine out and fixed it up. So all I'm doing is clearing the oil throw washer, stick that back on there. Then we've got the spline, give that a wipe even, not a wash, so it's nice and clean. Stick that on there in the spleens, and that'll help turn the crankshaft. As you can see, it's moving nice and free. What I love about these AF cassette clutches, and cassette clutches anyway, is the fact that they're modular. Basically, they're just, that's the clutch. I'll push it out. Excuse me for doing this off the camera, but that's your clutch basically in a cassette form that screws up. If you remember, if you want to look back on previous videos that I've done, this wasn't actually lined up like it is now. It was pulled in on one side, so I took it apart and basically re-jigged it. That's on one of the previous videos. With a GP, you have this phosphor bronze bush, not the roller bearing. These basically are not as hard wearing as the original Innocenti stuff. So basically, if you put that on with a roller bearing in there, the roller bearing will destroy it. But one goes in the other one, the bearing in the middle, just push it in like I'm doing, and you'll notice that's popped out. So just push it back in with your fingers. It just needs to go back evenly. What you can do is just tap it in like that. Right, we're going to need the chain now. If I put that down and find the chain, which is still in the oil somewhere. Let's have a pause in it. Sorry, I'm putting stuff down and putting stuff off. I don't know where I am, but again, that's been left in the oil. This engine is just standard GP 200 1847, so 18 sprocket, 47 clutch bell. What I do is just put the chain on like so, so that it's in place, and then find the sprocket out, which is in the front here. Put the sprocket in. That should just slide on both points. Put the clutch back on. It should spin and go home. That will need just a tap. The screwdriver will be strong enough just to do it on its own. That's it. The clutch housing's in, sprockets on, and I haven't changed any of this for the tension, so that should be fine as it was previously. We've got our locking nut, washer I should say, and nut, and AF provides you with a little tool to hold the clutch. I'm putting the nut on back to front here. I always like to put the nuts back on the way that they came off, and the shiny side on that was the side that went on this way. Right, just do that finger tight as usual. The oil's going everywhere. Take the clutch cover out the way for a minute, let that drip there. And I'm going to need a socket. It should be at 19, I think. That's a 21. So I do need my big socket set, which again, well, 22. Put a spacer on there, and what I'm just going to do at the moment is hand tighten it. The only trouble with all the oil, it gets everywhere. So just sort of finger tighten this up at the moment. That will do. Make sure it turns freely, gearbox is turning freely. Then we can put on the spring, Cush drive as it's called, and the crown on the top. So basically what we've got components here is we've got our spring, we've got our top castle which goes on there. What you can do is you can put a mark on there and a mark on there so you know that they line up and push on. If it's out of position and you try and tighten it, it will never work basically. You're just causing yourself problems. But what we've got is the top part of the Cush drive. I've got a new bolt for the crank. This part goes on secondly, and if you notice there's like a step up, step down, the same as that. and that goes in like that. Then your spring goes on, and what we're trying to do now is line this up like so, so that when we put our bolt in, 14mm bolt head, it just pulls straight on. It's not as easy as it looks, and you tend to get a feeling for it. Sorry about that, it was under my foot. See what I mean? That sounds solid, whereas that doesn't. So that plate's not in line. I'll just slack it off a little bit and turn it. This shouldn't be turning the whole lot of the sprockets, etc. So it should just turn. That still doesn't sound right to me. Does on the top, but not on the bottom. Just see what that's tightened up like. No. Do you hear the difference in the noise? That's not lined up, so because the camera's in the way, I'm going to have to just play with that till I get it lined up. Excuse me for a minute. Sorry about that, but I ended up putting it on its side because it's easier to press down against the spring. But this is what I'm talking about. You can feel the spring against it, and also as well when you actually try to tighten it up, it's quite easy to tighten. Now this is not tightened up to a high torque value, and when I clean it up I'll come back and get the torque wrench out and show you what I'm doing front and back. What I'm doing is I'm using a clutch holding tool. You can put a screwdriver or whatever, block the crankshaft from turning. It's up to you how you lock it up, but suffice to say, when this is locked up, then obviously you can do your two torque nuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and get the torque wrench set up, and then we'll tighten up the front and back. What you need to do is 25 pounds per square inch on there, and around 50 on there, 48 to 50, 23 to 25. I'll do it 25 and 50, and if I can find my torque wrench we might be in business, because I'll put it down. There it is over there, sorry. Give it a wipe. What I'm going to do, no particular order, but I'm going to do the front one first, which is the 14mm. So we'll take that off there and get the 14mm out. Socket set. 13, 14. And set that to 25. Excuse me while I'm doing that. I suppose the way, because I've got it set for the rear hub, probably easier to do it the opposite way. I'll do this one first. Right, so that's got 50 on it. Let's take that off. Stick the extension on. And we'll tighten this one up to 50. There you go. And then we can ring in the next one to 25. $30, $25. Do the front one. This might need a bit of turning because yeah, it's not a 14, it's a 13. Right. 13, put the 14 away. And you don't want to over tighten this. That already feels like it's too high. You do get a feeling for these things. The Cush drive's rubbing. There you go. So I just need to clean that out because I've caused a bit of rubbing there, and I don't want bits of metal flying around the engine. So but that in a nutshell is the clutch all done. That's what I say with these clutch set up, that should turn nice, which it is doing perfect as it was before. I just need to tidy up some of this oil. Get a screwdriver in there and just wipe it out. That's it. You can reuse the oil if it's not got thousands and thousands of miles on it. If you think of it, the first time like this is going to be run roughly about 200 miles, and I'll be draining the oil anyway. But we've got our sprocket on. I just wanted to use a pick and just clean up bits here. It's just probably just grease, but yeah. Just rotate it round a bit. That's it. It is grease, but that's a bit of dirt. So that's nice and clean. Yep. We can put the casing on after we've put this cover on, which it's now decided to go walkies. But put the tool away. Looking for the clutch cover. It should be around here somewhere. That goes on my torque wrench. I always leave the rear hub 27mm on the torque wrench. Out of the way. Let's move that old oil out of the way. Okay. There it is under there. I knew it was on there because when I turned it over it was missing, but it's quite a nice bit of kit, in as much as again you've got the clutch moves and the centre bearing stays still, so there's not a great deal of wear while you're ticking over, etc., and the clutch is not in, so that just pushes in like so, and as you can see that spins round in the middle regardless of what the clutch and anything else is doing. So what we can do now is, if I grab my side of the engine cover, one I prepared earlier, and that's that way, I believe it's that way, and stick that on like so, push it home. Some people put oil or grease on these, you don't need to. I prefer them going on dry, to be honest, and I don't use any sealant on the side of the engine unless it leaks. And we can bring our kickstart side. So all we've got now is our plunger. I mean, as you can see, there's literally no wear on that from that, because it doesn't spin around basically while the engine's ticking over. I'm just going to wipe some of that oil away in the bottom and just give the side of the engine a wipe again. Make sure I can see a little bit of gasket there, which I must have missed. I'll just get rid of the remnants of the old gasket on the top. Use a blunt knife, scrape it off, like I'm doing here, just scrape it off, keep that clean. That's it. Bit on the bottom, because I didn't have anything to do on the kickstart. I've done that in a previous video, little vlog, whatever you want to call them. That's on. Just making sure that's in, and then we can put the engine side case on, like so. One day in the week I was just seeing how that would polish up, to be honest, and it does come up really good. I just can't be bothered. Shiny don't really bother me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a couple on just to hold it. And these are all Nylox 10mm, and what we can do with this is just use the screwdriver attachment just to tighten them up. And we're looking for the 10mm, which should be over here. We'll get some rags in a minute and start tidying up. Too much oil, that's come off, brilliant. Just finger tight, don't bother to tighten it right the way up. Right, and that one, and a couple on the bottom. Again, then I can just tighten that one up. I just literally go around doing all of these finger tight, apart from the ones that hold on the exhaust, them two, and the one at the back, which is the long one. Do that. I'll cut away and do that because this is just boring people watching you do up nuts and bolts. I'll cut away there. Right, so I've got all the nuts on that I need to put on at the moment, and we're going to tighten these up. That's one, basically in a cross X mode, so top, bottom, whatever way you do it, doesn't really matter. One on here, and then this one up here. Again, you only need about £10, and then we'll do the middle ones. Well, that one, that one. That one. What I suggest you do as well when you've done the next one, just make sure that's fine. If it goes all the way forward, then obviously your plunger's falling out. So that'll do, and then you can just go around tightening them all up. Doesn't really make any odds now, it won't warp. That's one of the good things with Lambrettas, they don't really leak a lot from their engines if they're done up properly. As you can see, I'm just a bit rushed, and that one, that's it, and that one. Do the two end ones now. And that one. And when you've done them all, just go round them again. Make sure you've not missed one. That's done. So you can start at wherever you want that one. Just make sure that they're all nice and tight. It's hard to show. You do get a feeling with building engines. Right, that's the engine case on now. If I wanted to, I could fill it up. I'm not going to at the moment because I've got lots of cleaning up, wiping to do, get some new rags and get rid of all these rags here, tidy up. So I'm going to call that a day for this video. The next part I've got to do, because I've got a longer stroke con rod, I'll explain that to you. I decided on a 110 to basically make the piston straighter than it would be at an angle like that if it's got the standard 107. So it's got the same stroke, 58 stroke. I haven't gone for a 60 or anything. I've kept it standard like that, but I've just given it a longer con rod, or had it built with a longer con rod. I'll show you what that will do in relation to where the piston sits in the barrel in the next video. Excuse me, pardon me even. Right, I'll catch you on the next one when it's nice and clean in here and we're ready to put the piston on. Take care everybody, bye.